you remember my imaginary friends?
You can't remember if you're imaginary friends or the voices in your fucking head.
What's the difference? Do you remember what you would yell to me when I was off in my own world?
Earth to Gert.
Where are you, Gert? Earth to Gert. Gert. Earth to Gert. So I'm starting a podcast, and that's the title.
Earth to Gert?
Yeah. Second to last episode, and I'm still nervous. Hello, and welcome to the second to last episode of Season 1 of Earth to Gert. In last week's episode with Laura, we talked about her son Michael and the book that she wrote in the aftermath of his death. We talked about a chapter that was written by Michael's friend Cora. Cora is a licensed mental health counselor, and in this chapter she offers some warning signs of suicidal ideation. When I read this chapter, my initial reaction was not that these should be warning signs for family and friends to watch out for. Well, I do think that is important, and if you see these warning signs in someone you love, ask the hard questions. But my takeaway was that I needed to know these warning signs within myself when I was suffering the most. I know that a big chunk of you that are listening have a history of or are suffering from some sort of mental mess. These warning signs are for you. Pay attention to yourself, to your habits, to your response to the world. It's okay to need, to want, and to ask for help from others. Our need for one another is what makes us human. So for this week, in honor of National Suicide Prevention Awareness, and since I know Mrs. Shapperjohn was so proud of how well I read out loud last week, I'd like to read a chapter from Laura's book, What I Wish I Had Known. Chapter 9, My Dearest Michael. Dearest Michael, I have been avoiding you and avoiding writing this letter. I recently realized it is because I am angry. I am angry with you. I don't want to be, but I am. I love and cherish you so very much. You are such a remarkable human being. How could you ever imagine that life would be better without you? I realize this is not the thought process you were experiencing, and rather you were trying to avoid and stop your pain in the only way you thought possible. What you didn't realize, nor could you possibly understand, is the amount of suffering and pain you have created by your absence, which I know you would never have wanted. You are a selfless, gentle, kind, loving, strong, stubborn, determined, driven, and funny young man with a contagious laugh. You always treated me as a sister, and I miss you so very much. As a mental health professional, I help many people walk through their journey with grief and tragedy. I know what to expect. I know what to look for. I know the warning signs and symptoms, and yet grief can even take professionals by surprise. You are loved, you are cherished, and you will never be forgotten. You are a part of our family and talked about often. Our children know you, even though they never had the pleasure of meeting you. Your picture hangs on our living room wall, along with many other family members. Thank you for loving me unconditionally. Thank you for respecting me. Thank you for protecting and cherishing me. You are an exceptional human being, and you have changed my life by being in mine. With love, your sister Cora. After reading the manuscript of the book you are now reading, I experienced many waves of emotion: sadness, confusion, frustration, bargaining, and now I find myself in the phase of anger. How could he not know how much he was loved, how much he would be missed, how much he was cherished, how incredibly unique and awesome he was? He was like no other, a true gift to this world, and he can never be replaced. It is okay to be angry. It is okay to be sad. It is okay to question what if. It is okay to be in denial or shock. It is okay to feel any and all emotions, especially with grief. Grief is tricky and different for everyone. What we need, when we need it, and how we need it varies for each person. How I process my emotions on my timeline and the support I need will be different than how your siblings, parents, your friends process their grief. To anyone reading this, wherever you find yourself on your grief journey, please know it is okay. Be patient with yourself. Be kind to and supportive of yourself. As long as you are acknowledging and not avoiding or denying your emotions, you are moving through your grief. Be patient. A client of mine described grief as feeling like you have been hit by a boulder rolling down a hill. The boulder crushes you, and it's something you have to carry after being run over. The boulder is huge and heavy and impossible. Over time, the boulder doesn't go away. It doesn't get lighter, but you get stronger. I love this analogy and believe it to be very true. The pain of grief doesn't go away, and it only gets easier because we get stronger. So hang in there. You will get stronger. If you believe someone in your life is struggling with thoughts of suicide, I would like to include the following advice. This advice is not exclusive, and if you need immediate assistance, do not hesitate to contact your nearest emergency center or call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. It's now been updated to be 988. Upon Michael's return from the military, he was different. He was quiet and guarded. I remember asking, even prying for information about his experiences at war. He would not share, no matter how hard I pressed. I eventually stopped because I could see he wasn't going to give in. I believe the only piece of information I got him to share with me was how to take someone down quickly. I was a bit of a wild spirit and enjoyed wrestling and being playfully aggressive with anyone who would engage with me, so Michael finally obliged and took me down in about 2 seconds. I didn't see it coming and was unable to prevent the pain. I didn't remember the exact maneuver, but man, was it effective. It was playful banter. We laughed, and he taught me the move and let me practice on him. That is all he would ever share with me. Warning sign number 1. Pay attention to individuals who refuse to talk about their trauma and go to great lengths to cover it up or avoid it. We cannot force someone to talk. However, the stronger they avoid and refuse is an indication of the level of pain they are trying to hide and escape. This does not mean that everyone is going to share all of their pain with everyone, but we do need someone, anyone, to share the burden, to share the pain, to make our journey more bearable. We are not intended to endure extreme suffering alone. It is too difficult. If you suspect someone is avoiding talking or processing their trauma, gently inquire with their loved ones and collaborate. Through a kind, loving, and respectful lens, we can inquire about the well-being of another. For example, I could have reached out to Michael's mother and asked her how she thought Michael was doing upon his return, and if he was sharing any of his stories from the war with her. I could have continued to encourage Michael to talk and remind him that even if I could not relate or possibly understand his suffering and what he experienced, it would not change my opinion or love for him. No matter what he endured or had to do while at war, I would have supported him unconditionally without question. He needed to know this, and I failed him. I'm sorry, Michael. Warning sign number 2. Michael started drinking heavily. We were both in our early 20s and engaged in social drinking with friends. Upon Michael's return, however, his drinking became extreme. He would become so heavily intoxicated that he would fall over, pass out, or begin acting out of character. This was not Michael. There appeared to be very little self-control when alcohol was involved. Substance use and abuse are a common warning sign that our loved one is hurting and may be contemplating suicide. Again, I could have approached Michael in a kind, loving, respectful manner and expressed my concern for his behavior, but I didn't. For this, I am sorry, Michael. I loved you too much to not say anything, and now it is too late. We all have demons and secrets we are ashamed of. We have all failed and let others down. We have all disappointed others and made mistakes. You were not alone in these feelings and experiences. Sadly, instead of offering additional support and encouragement to Michael, I stopped hanging around him. I could not bear the sight of him heavily intoxicated. It broke my heart. I moved out of state and we lost touch. My love for him never changed, but we were not in contact. From this point forward, I did not know how he was doing and did not see any additional warning signs. I am so sorry, Michael. Motivated by my pain and love for Michael, and even grief and guilt for losing contact, I offer this short list of additional common warning signs and hope you find them helpful. They are not precise one-to-one signs of suicidal ideations, but they can be signs and symptoms nonetheless. In no particular order. Number 1, staying preoccupied. Similar to substance use, staying busy and occupied ensures we don't have time to think about our trauma and pain. Staying busy to ensure we are not left with idle time provides some control over the pain that can feel unmanageable. This is a distraction and can offer false hope. One can feel in control and believe they are carrying along in life with their trauma neatly tucked away. Sadly, when we avoid dealing with our trauma, we may be able to push through, pretend, or suppress for a while. However, eventually it catches up with us. It is not sustainable to avoid, neglect, resist, or deny our trauma and our pain. No matter how good we are at hiding it, it will eventually resurface, and typically in an explosive manner if we have kept it hidden for a long time. Usually when we reach this point, our pain can feel insurmountable. This is not the reality. However, when we reach this point, it can feel as if we are standing at the bottom of an emotional Mount Everest, defeated and without any other option than to escape. If you find yourself in this space, it may feel like you're trying to eat a steak without any teeth. It is possible, however, we may need to move slowly, take tiny bites of steak, and make sure we are chewing thoroughly. Start with thinking about processing, feeling the least emotional piece of your trauma. Take a small bite of your steak. Eventually, over time, by taking small pieces of our trauma and healing, we will consume the entire steak or process through our entire trauma. We must start small, though, or otherwise we will choke. Seek help from a professional and move slow through your trauma. Have excellent coping skills in place to manage your emotions. And most importantly, no matter how horrific or awful we feel our trauma pain is, we are not alone. I promise you, someone, probably not far away, has experienced something similar and is also feeling ashamed, embarrassed, and overwhelmed. You are not alone, and you are not defined by this event or experience. Number 2, inability to sleep and intrusive nightmares. This is another warning sign that someone is hurting. Sleep is a time that our subconscious mind takes control. It is a space that we are no longer able to control or manipulate, and so often those distressing memories we are fighting so hard to stay hidden become exposed. Some are unable to sleep, while others may sleep excessively. Nightmares can be violent, loud, or disruptive, and may make sleep near impossible. If you have access to your loved one while they sleep, pay attention. If you are not present while they sleep, simply inquire about how they are sleeping. Sleep problems are a symptom of a deep-rooted issue and will not go away without processing and healing from our trauma. Help is needed. This is not your fault. You've done nothing wrong, and you deserve to be healed and have peace. Yes, I'm talking to you. 3, family history with suicide. Having a relative who has completed suicide increases one's risk level significantly. One would think it would be the opposite, however, sadly, statistics prove otherwise. If you're worried about a loved one and uncertain if there is a family history with suicide, again, gently inquire with family members or the person directly. 4. Substances. Substance use and abuse are a common symptom for those considering suicide. Substance use can be a tempting solution to try and numb our pain and escape the mental and emotional torture one may feel. Sadly, this is temporary and not sustainable, and will make it even more difficult to function efficiently and have a productive, meaningful life. This is a sign of one's reality, a sign of the pain one is trying to escape, avoid, resist, and possibly deny. 5. Emotional or dramatic responses to simple situations. A simple way to observe if our loved one is hurting and avoiding their pain is by paying attention to how they respond to simple situations. Does their response match the encounter they are experiencing? For example, are they becoming rageful or a puddle of tears when they stub their toe, watch a scene from a movie, or when someone cuts them off in a parking lot? Our response to simple situations can be an indication of a deeper-rooted concern that is not being addressed and pokes its ugly head out momentarily through a trauma cue, something that reminds us of our trauma either directly or indirectly, consciously or subconsciously. The more often this happens, or the more intense their response to these trauma cues, is an indication of the pain they are experiencing. Number 6, self-harm. When our trauma that we have neatly tucked away begins to expose itself, again, it can feel overwhelming and insurmountable. We find ourselves again at the bottom of the emotional Mount Everest. Engaging in acts that provide physical pain is a way for some to escape the emotional pain. This is a symptom of inner pain and needing help. This is a temporary solution to a much larger issue and is not sustainable or effective. It does not help one heal from their trauma. It is a temporary solution from a situation experience that can feel impossible. 7. Isolation, retreat from others physically or emotionally. If our loved one is isolating from others physically or emotionally, it is their attempt to try to control or manipulate their feelings. It is an attempt to gain control and mastery over that emotional Mount Everest. Sadly, this is not effective and often means that in order to manage and control their emotional pain, our loved ones become more withdrawn or isolated with time. This again is a symptom of their pain. 8. Saying goodbye or giving away belongings. This is not something all victims of suicide do, however, it can be a sign. If your loved one has any of the above-mentioned symptoms and then suddenly calls you or shows up and is giving you their items or saying goodbye, pay attention. Typically, these conversations are more discreet and do not usually involve our loved ones coming out and directly saying goodbye. The person may be making amends for prior behaviors, apologizing for any pain they have caused you, or for embarrassing you. This may also be done with physically giving away their belongings or taking care of their possessions in an attempt to make less work for their loved ones after they depart. I've worked with people who have killed their own animals in an effort to prepare for suicide. This can be a more challenging sign to monitor, but simply pay attention and get help immediately if you notice this sign in your loved ones. 9. Sudden drastic change in mood. This often goes hand in hand with number 8. If your loved one is typically sad, mad, isolated, depressed, etc., and then one day their mood is drastically different and uplifted, this requires immediate attention. This is a sign I look for often as a therapist and can mean that someone is close to completing suicide. What our loved one is showing us is that they are at peace with their decision and will follow through with their decision soon. Their decision to end their life provides them with peace or even excitement. Their pain will ease soon. This is so hard because we can be easily fooled to believe they have turned a corner, are feeling better, or are having a good day. After all, this is what we have been hoping for, praying for, and wanting so desperately for our loved one. If the change is drastic, it can be dangerous. If the change is more gradual, it can mean they are processing and healing. There's a significant difference. Number 10, hopelessness. This is a significant warning sign. In the therapeutic setting, this is one I pay extremely close attention to. If someone has lost hope They have very little to fight for and are more likely to give up and attempt or complete suicide. No matter how awful or horrible our pain, trauma may feel, there is purpose. Each life matters and is equally amazing. I believe we all have unique talents and skills and need one another. When we lose hope, we lose sight of our purpose and meaning in life. If your loved one has lost hope, remind them of how amazing they are, how loved they are, and how they make this world better. You can also ask them directly the reason they are still alive. What keeps them fighting? What breathes life into their soul? What is worth fighting for? This can help remind our loved one of their own personal hope and keep them in the fight for life. If you are watching a loved one suffer and feel helpless, I also encourage you to seek professional help. I know I am biased as a therapist, however, having someone you can talk to about what you are experiencing can offer support, encouragement, and hope for you too. It can be incredibly painful to watch someone we love self-destruct, and you should not be alone either in this journey. No matter how skilled or how much we love someone, if they are not ready to change, we cannot make them. The best thing we can do is walk alongside this person we love, remind them how much they are loved, unconditionally, regardless of their mistakes and trauma. Remind them we will not judge them or ask probing questions, and we will always be there for them. We cannot change someone. It is impossible. It is an impossible task. You are also not responsible for their actions, good or bad. If you suspect someone is hurting, it is okay to ask them direct questions and inquire if they are having thoughts of suicide. Bring the elephant in the room. Let them know you care and you're not afraid to talk about difficult things. A professional therapist can also help you navigate this conversation, as I realize this may be a tall order. Michael, what you may not know is that I too struggled with depression and thoughts of suicide. I felt completely hopeless, alone, sad, scared, and overwhelmed. Our emotions were the result of different experiences, nonetheless equally devastating. I did everything I could to stop the pain, but nothing worked, and suicide felt like the only option. Fast forwarding now 20 years, I see and understand that my pain had meaning. I endured that pain for a reason, for a greater cause. I am able to better relate to those I work with who are suffering from trauma, depression, PTSD, and thoughts of suicide. I was so close to ending my life, and I'm so glad I didn't. I have a purpose. You had a purpose. Whew. And your life continues to have a purpose. You changed me and made me better. You taught me so much about life and friendship. You will always be loved. You will always be missed. You are a part of frequent conversations in our house, and our children know you. I'm no longer angry with Michael and have moved on to forgiveness. I understand the pain he must have felt in order to consider suicide as an option. I've been there. I can relate. And my heart breaks for him. Thank you for loving me so well, Michael. You will forever be missed and loved. Warning sign number 10. Wow. The hopelessness. That's the one that resonated the most with me. It's the hardest to read about. I have 2 lines highlighted from this chapter that I'd like to reread. I feel like these are
crucial to the times we are living in right now. We are not intended to endure extreme suffering alone. It is too difficult. So many of us are suffering, and we do it alone. The other sentence I have highlighted here: no matter how skilled or how much we love someone, if they are not ready to change, we cannot make them. I think it was the first episode where I said one of my reasons for doing this is, since I've started putting myself out there, so many people are reaching out to me, which I love and want. So please keep doing that. I love having conversations with people. But it's tough watching so many people suffer and not make any changes for themselves. So no matter how skilled or how much we love someone, if they're not ready to change, we cannot make them.
This world is so freaking heavy right now. Everyone is feeling something. It's so important to protect your mental health, to protect your brains, and to protect the brains of your children. Your mental mess will show up as your physical mess eventually. The brain literally controls everything. You have to protect it. You need nutrients. What you eat is either medicine or it's poison. You also need nature and sunlight. Get off your phone, get outside. And if you do this first thing in the morning, it helps your body produce melatonin, which helps you sleep. You need sleep. Get off your phone and go to sleep. It is a basic human need. And if you have children, get them off of their phones, especially your teenagers. And when you are awake, you have to move your body. We were never, ever, ever designed to live a sedentary lifestyle. I don't care what you do, what movement or exercise looks like for you, but if you want health, if you want happiness and longevity, you absolutely have to move your body. So that's it. That's my advice going into the fall and winter. And maybe if you get the chance, look into childhood and generational trauma and how we all have it and how it influences how we exist in the world. And fill your toolbox. Find your purpose and find what brings you joy. I do have one more episode to go. When I started telling people that close to me of the ideas I had for this podcast, several people asked this question: do you think Angie would ever be on the show? Angie, if you don't know, is my counselor. She is the human I hold the most gratitude for in helping me get from that place of hopelessness to this place now of being so freaking hopeful for my future. Like, so hopeful. She truly is an amazing human, and she graciously has agreed to join me in wrapping up season 1. So she'll be here next week. Thank you all so much for listening and tagging along on this journey. To all of my guests, thank you. I love you all, and I'm so grateful for your willingness and bravery to share your stories with us. Thank you so much for trusting me and this project. You have no idea the impact your stories have had on others. To my listeners, I cannot thank you all enough for listening and for reaching out and supporting this podcast. Thank you so much for your comments, the text messages, and all the Facebook messages, literally every single one of them. Thank you so much.